I all of a sudden do this, you know that something is amiss, or that I am telling you a lie. Because between you and me, this ain't my real hair. It does make me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum though, so maybe sometimes when I go out I do give this a go, which isn't true at all. But more pertinent to this video is the people telling fibs in wrestling. So hello, my name is Simon Miller for What Culture Wrestling. This damn thing is actually poking me in the eye. And here are the 10 best everything you know is a lie moments in professional wrestling. Number 10, The Rock is the corporate champion. Oh, how I love this, and I remember it today just because it was done so damn well. But all the way back at the 1998 Survivor Series, we had a show-long tournament to see who was going to be crowned the new WWF champion. I don't think many people saw this coming. The big lie, of course, did come in the weeks prior to this, because The Rock, who went on to win that damn thing, was beating up Shane McMahon, he was beating up Vince McMahon, and even on the Raw a few days prior, he dropped him with the People's Elbow. And then we got to the pay-per-view, and what did the People's Champ do? He turned his back on us all and started the corporation. Now, of course, this is nonsense, because it means their plan when they sat down to discuss it in kayfabe was, well, you can beat us up, and that will massively trick the crowd, and then we can all have a good laugh about it. But actually, there was more. Because in terms of the World Wrestling Federation roster, this also affected Mankind, deliberately so, and it affected the Kane and the Undertaker, who had basically been manipulated into doing Vince McMahon's doing. This was a work of art as a wrestling narrative, and probably the highlight of Vince Russo's time at the company. Hopefully soon, we'll do something like this again. Number 9, Kenny Omega and Don Callis open the Forbidden Door. Winter is Coming 2020 was a masterclass in terms of wrestling booking. This was even more impressive because it did come in the middle of a damn worldwide pandemic, so you had to pull something out of your ass. This is what we found. All Elite Wrestling kept making it very clear that something was coming, however, although we didn't quite see it. And after Kenny Omega and Don Callis had basically stolen the World Championship from Jon Moxley, all of a sudden the Good Brothers were here, and they weren't even signed to the damn promotion. Kenny had told us this basically without saying it, or that he was ready to turn to the dark side in order to achieve his goals, and if that meant bringing in his buddies, then that's what he was gonna do. Deals be damned. But it's actually quite reminiscent of that Rock situation we just talked about, and it also started a 12-month heel run when Kenny Omega, even though he wasn't 100% when it came to his health, just had banger after banger after banger. Number 8, Roman Reigns wrecks everybody and leaves. SummerSlam 2020 was the first premium live event to take place in that Thunderdome, and I suppose we also used it to change direction. My word, did a lot happen here. It's fair to say that everything between Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, and the Universal Championship wasn't clicking. So WWE said to Roman Reigns, "Hi, do you want to finally come back to WWE after he'd taken some time off because of the pandemic?" And as the title suggested, he just beat the shit out of everyone. Bray had only just won that shiny blue plate as well, and then 1 week later, we all of a sudden had this payback show, which was hastily thrown together, but the reason we did it is because we were going to give the damn thing to Roman, and look what we've done over the last 2 years. Just got bigger and bigger and bigger. Usually such a thing would have sent the fan base nuts as well, but the big reveal is that Reigns had finally gone heel, and moreover than that, he had aligned himself with Paul Heyman. So all of a sudden we were mega interested, and I tell you this, if we get to 2023 and Roman is still the champion, I ain't gonna be that surprised at all. Number 7, Jake the Snake Roberts and the Macho Man redefine reality. So this happened in November 1991, and if you've never seen it, you need to load up your WWE Network/Peacock machines right now and do yourself a favor, because all these years on, and it's still flubbing brilliant. Now, Randy Savage was always very good at selling fear as a bad guy, but when he did it as a good guy, holy crap, my friends, this just drew you in so much, because you kind of looked at him like, I actually think he may be in trouble. Never was this more true than when he was feuding with Jake Roberts. When Jake pulled the snake out of his bag, that is not a euphemism, known as Damien, put it in front of the Macho Man, and that damn thing actually bit him. I don't mean this was some kind of wrestling bite. It took its teeth and it sunk it into his arm. I mean, there was blood. As would become apparent over the years, Randy was so worried about this, he would get the damn snake to bite Jake beforehand in the back just to make sure it was kosher. But even then, he went out there like, man, I don't want to do this. And can you blame him? When you start training to be a wrestler, nobody says, oh, now it's time to learn how to be being bitten by a deadly animal. Now, admittedly, the venom had been taken out of his fangs, but I still think it counts. So it was just so real that everybody and their mother believed it. And once again, this is the kind of angle we should try and bring into 2022. I don't mean animals going around chomping people, but you could show this to anyone and they would absolutely suspend their disbelief. It was bloody brilliant. Number 6, The Undertaker and Hulk Hogan failed to roll back the years. Now I do get it. When Hulk Hogan returned to the WWE in 2002 and everybody went crazy for him, it made all the sense in the world to jump on the nostalgia train and ride it to the station. Trains don't do this. You always have to listen to the fans, and in this instant, Vince McMahon did do that. And let's face it, over the past 2 decades, that hasn't always been the case. The problem was, all of this then got carried away, and we got to the Judgment Day pay-per-view, when somebody said, oh my gosh, we can now do Hulk Hogan versus The Undertaker, and that will be absolutely fabu, because it will be like we're in the 90s again. The sad thing is, all this did was remind us all that it wasn't the 90s, we all felt like sad pandas. Now, they didn't do this on purpose, of course. The Undertaker was still finding his feet again, whereas Hulk's best years were behind him. But it also ties into their first clash back in 1991 at the Survivor Series, because there, as we know, Ric Flair presented a chair, so the Phenom tombstoned Hulk into it. And ever since, the Hulkster has walked around saying, oh man, that actually screwed up my neck, I can't believe it. It was a real injury. Whereas, as Mark Calloway has told us, that was baloney or a lie. I mean, it's not that big a surprise given that Hogan will still walk around saying that he didn't know the finish of the WrestleMania 3 match until Andre the Giant told him in the ring. So just always take that guy with a pinch of salt. Number 5, Goldberg batters the Beast. So it's back to the Survivor Series now, although we're going to 2016. Man, this was great. Because everything Brock Lesnar and Bill Goldberg did during their feud just worked, and it worked effortlessly. And the main reason for this is because they had that match at Survivor Series when Bill beat Brock in 1 minute and 26 seconds. And we all just sat there and said collectively, what the flub have we just seen? Paul Heyman sold this wonderfully too, and we had rebuilt Goldberg's reputation pretty much almost instantly, which allowed us to get to WrestleMania 33, and they had that 5-minute match, which for my money was one of the best 5-minute matches in history. The real joy is that before all this, everyone thought that Brock Lesnar was just going to squish Goldberg like he was a bug, but when we got this, everything we thought we knew was a lie. That's why sometimes it is good to pull the trigger on this stuff. Look at the joy we got. Number 4, Shane McMahon pops the territory. When Shane McMahon returned from nowhere in February 2016, everybody lost their mind. I'm serious. If you haven't seen it, you can watch it on YouTube right now. The pop is absolutely ridiculous. Now, he did go a bit mad after this because he had that WrestleMania match with The Undertaker and everything with Vince McMahon's lockbox. But once again, just go and look at the reports for this. As soon as Shane-O was announced for that event, ticket sales went up. I suppose the lie we all fell for here was that nobody ever thought McMahon was going to come back, and even more so, I'm not sure people expected that if he did return, he was going to be a ticket mover. The question always was, well, even if he did come back, what the hell would he do? As it turned out, he would make quite the massive impact. Whether or not he ever comes back to WWE now is unknown. These memories shall be left alone. Number 3, CM Punk drops a bomb. This was all time, because back in 2011, CM Punk was actually going to leave the WWE for real when he took a microphone and he spouted so much craziness from his mouth, we all thought maybe he was talking legitimately. It was barely about Punk himself either, as he talked about the company, he talked about management, and he talked about other wrestlers, and he even waved into the camera while saying words like Ring of Honor. Now, if he did this in 2022, it's quite commonplace, but 10 or so years ago, it was like we'd entered an alternative dimension. Now, of course, this was all greenlit beforehand, otherwise Punk wouldn't have got one word out of his mouth before his microphone was cut off, but this is why it was just so damn sublime, because because it left us all guessing and left us questioning what the hell was going to happen next. While this didn't switch things on a dime either, even though some people will have you believe that ratings went through the roof, they did not. It was what CM Punk needed to all of a sudden become a main eventer. And even though we did have that sticky patch through the summer, he would eventually win the WWE Championship and hold it for 434 days. I don't think that happens without all of this, and the only real shame is that after he had left at Money in the Bank, he was basically back in 1 week's time. 1 week's time. Why couldn't we just be patient? Number 2, the Freebirds incite a civil war. Christmas Day 2022 will mark 40 years since this cage match went down, and yet even right now, it is still one of the best things you'll ever get to see. Going down in world-class championship wrestling in Texas, where the Von Erichs were basically a bunch of heroes, Kerry was finally going to take on the Nature Boy Ric Flair for the heavyweight championship, but because the Four Horsemen kept getting involved, we were going to do it in mentioned steel cage. To help with this too, Michael Hayes of the Freebirds was going to be the special guest referee, and Terry Gordy would be watching the door. So every single person that ventured out to the arena was like, man, finally we're going to get ours. It's going to be a special day. However, this all then turned out to be one big ruse, because of course eventually Hayes and Flair got into it when Michael took out the Nature Boy. And even though they were saying, Kerry, you got to take advantage of this, because he was a hero, he wouldn't do it. This sent the Freebirds irate though, because they felt disrespected. When Gordy took the cage door, he smashed it into Von Erich's head, which meant he did lose the match, and Flair walked away with the belt. And holy crap, did the fans lose their minds. Now, of course, this was done to set up the Birds versus the Von Erichs for the next few years, and we did this to crazy success. But once more, you need to go and see this with your eyes if you want to see thousands of people that totally believe wrestling is as real as they come. Number 1, Sami Zayn makes a choice. So a more recent one to round things off, and of course it ties into everything with the bloodline in WWE. It's been damn fantastic. And this wasn't as surprising as some of the other ones we have mentioned on this list, just because it wasn't time to pull the trigger. But at Survivor Series 2022, we did have the men's War Games match, and there was a terrific moment between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Because KO had already told Sami that Roman Reigns and his goons were no good and they were going to screw him over. And after Owens had hit the stunner onto Roman Reigns and was about to pin him, what did Sam do? He didn't break up the count. He didn't attack his friend. He grabbed the referee's arm and stopped them from counting to 3. And this was so much better than doing anything violent, because it showed you that Zayn still has feelings for his former friend, and that while he had made his decision today, maybe down the line that could be changed. It also allowed the Bloodline to stand tall at the end of this double cage match as everybody praised Sami Zayn. I'm just going to tell you this. It is some of the best stuff that WWE has done in years. And when we do get the switch, be still my beating heart, it is going to shatter into 1,000 pieces. Not many other moments in wrestling that were definitely a lie. Make sure you let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like the video, share the video, and subscribe. And head over to WhatCulture.com where you can read us some articles. Make sure you come follow us on social media at WhatCulture WWE, and Simon Miller 316. We do have a lot of other videos, some of which feature me. It's either a good thing or a bad thing. My name is Simon for What Culture. Thank you very much for joining me as always. Make sure you have a lovely day. And why not assume your own power pose? I mean, you're looking at me thinking, what an absolute dick, but I feel great. Goodbye.